Showing up.
Hi, Joe. How you doing? Okay. What's your name?
The real rocket and the wind was
She said, you know, that problem, I guess it wasn't away. We just deal with that. So you're coming by on that. That is what it's doing.
That's a great story. I guess when you were, and I said, right, when you were senior, you must have been senior. Yeah, because Charlie was a boy. I go, all I know is just that, you know, forward. How's it running?
That time he cleaned the gun and he shot the guy in the foot. Tell him about that. He told me.
You know, he knew where we were like many years ago. He told me.
How about when he shot the gun and he shot
there? 50. How can I answer your question? 53 years ago. Where were we?
Well, now he's talking to him. That's Joe. Welcome to the Roxborough High School. St. John guy here.
You were the neighbor.
I showed a picture.
I still want to be there.
Okay, if we might, we'd like to get started with the evening's festivities. And I'd like to begin by, first of all, welcoming everyone. And on behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee, on behalf of those who are going to be inducted tonight, and on behalf of all of those of you who are members of the Hall of Fame Club, I'd like to welcome you tonight and thank you for coming as we honor our inductees for the 1999 year. I'd like to now further welcome in comments, turn it over to our principal, Mr. Henry Barber.
Thanks, Cliff. Well, we started the day off this morning at the high school. We had a wonderful assembly. For those of you who aren't there, we introduced to our athletes, our student athletes, our new inductees, and we had a little brunch afterwards. We had a tour for those that wanted to, and this evening will be the culmination of their induction. And of course, this is the 8th year we've done this. We congratulate them, and I want to thank the committee. I don't want to name names because I might forget someone, but the committee worked diligently all year, and we have 5 wonderful candidates, of course, including the girls team, more than 5, but the inductees, it's a wonderful group. I want to congratulate them. We want to welcome everybody. And let me make a pitch while I'm up here. If you're not a member of the Hall of Fame, please join so you can vote, become a lifetime member. If you know someone who's an alumni or someone that would like to join, encourage them to join, because it's a wonderful group, and every year I look forward to this occasion, and it helps promote Roxborough High School and all the good things that happen at Roxborough High School. So without further ado, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Fred Hauser, former football coach, former department head at Roxborough High School. Fred will give the invocation.
While Fred's coming, I just would like to remind you of one thing. At your table are schedules of our yearly events. Be sure you pick up one of them. And also, if you're interested in joining, there's a membership application in the back of the program.
All right, can we bow our heads for the invocation? God, our Heavenly Father, we thank you that we can be here tonight to honor those being inducted into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. It has to be gratifying and humbling to them to realize that after so many years away from high school, they're being recognized for this honor by their family and friends, their teammates and coaches, the community at large, and even those younger players who held them up as their heroes. Now we ask our Heavenly Father that you bless this food. We give you thanks for it in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Always do before we have our meal. I'd like to ask everyone if you would pause for a moment of silence for all of our deceased members, if we might. Thank you. Someone will be coming to your table and we will continue with our food. Okay, and we'll be back up as soon as our meal is over.
Michael Nutter was supposed to be here with us this evening, but he just called about 15 minutes ago and he can't make it. I also would like to recognize a couple other guests in the audience this evening. Former Frankfort High School football coach of many years, Mr. Al Angelo. And a couple that have come a long way this evening to be with us. I'd like to recognize Major and Mrs. Bethel, who have come all the way down from Massachusetts. word to Mr. Howard Light to proceed with the rest of the evening.
Thank you, Dave. It's my pleasure tonight to present the presenters. Each inductee will be receiving a plaque to keep. There will be another plaque that will go up on our wall of fame at Roxborough High School. And in addition, each member will be receiving a councilmatic citation that was arranged by Councilman Nutter. And I'm going to read only one this year. Those of you who were here last year, that's one time. The citation reads like this. Honoring the inductee, the Council of the City of Philadelphia is pleased and proud to join the Roxborough High School family in congratulating you on the occasion of your induction into the Sports Hall of Fame. The Council notes that through your determination and discipline, you brought distinction to your sport, and today you bring pride to this community. Sports have always been a symbol of the highest values of life, and thus you are a model of our historic concepts of citizenship and humanity. The Council further notes that for these many years you have been honored for your contributions to athletics and to the wider sports community. We find that today you are a member in good standing in the Universal Club of world-class athletes, strong in spirit and committed to the eternal value of sports. Therefore, by virtue of this citation, the Council of the City of Philadelphia does hereby commend you upon your induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. We thank you for your contributions, and we extend to you the respect, admiration, and very best wishes of this legislative body. Congratulations. Our first inductee of the evening, Damon Bethel, will be presented by his brother, David.
Good evening. Today I'm here to present an award to my brother Damon. Damon W. Bethel graduated number 11 in his graduating class of 1989. During his days in Roxborough High School, he was a business aide to Mrs. Hackingos, a Root Award winner, an honors student, and a 3-year letterman in football. Upon graduation, he attended the University of Miami on a full-paid scholarship athletic award, where he played on 2 national championship teams and graduated with a bachelor's of art in English and a minor in secondary education. Damon is currently pursuing a master's degree in the school administration at Bridgewater State College in Massachusetts, while maintaining his full-time job as a student. Well, beyond this, he's just been an all-around great guy and an awesome brother. And I like to call him up here, and Mr. Chairman, it will be with great sincerity and admiration that I present Damon Bethel for acceptance and introduction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame.
This is the happiest day of my life. And before you go, David, I'm going to tell you something. This is the happiest moment of my life. But the happiest days of my life were spent when I was at Roxborough High School and we played on the same football field. I've been away from this place for a long time. And, right now I'm working on my master's in school administration. And after visiting Roxborough High, I'm just going to wish Mr. Mommer a speedy retirement. Because when I graduate from Bridgewater State, I will be looking for a job in this area. And I want the one in Roxborough High. Looking back at my life, the thing I really appreciate most about Roxborough and Roxborough High School, its teachers and its citizens, was that during my 4 years there, I was never regarded as an athlete. I was always a student first. And that's something I kept with me when I went to the University of Miami. Because when they got me down south, sure, they sold the school and they said I get a quality education. But I pissed my coach off. Because I went to every class. Even with the big games, because when we played Florida State Notre Dame, the rules were, you get your lunch, you watch film, you get your dinner, you go back and watch film. Well, coach was pissed off at me. He was so pissed off that when we played Boston College, he purposely parked the bus next to Harvard University. He said, Damon, that's where you should have gone. But looking back at the things I've accomplished since I've graduated from the University of Miami, in my second year, I won Teacher of the Year. And with the job I'm doing now, all I can do is look back and thank my teachers. Because I remember 14 years ago when I first, entered Roxborough High School, I was a tall, skinny kid. I weighed about 170 pounds, and I stuttered. And I got jumped my freshman year. And I remember, I said, I'm gonna get even with all those guys. Next year, I played football. I played with JV, and it was just something else. It's like the harder I hit people, the harder the classes got, because they pulled me out of the general track and they put me all in honors classes. At the rate I was going, I'm happy they didn't have advanced placement. I probably would have graduated a couple of years earlier. But I like to thank all my teachers. I like to thank Mr. Hay. Let me thank my coach. I like to thank Mr. Haberman. Hay, you were a great part of my life. I never forget the time when Mr. Hay found out my parents were ministers. Because he used to use a lot of, he used to speak a lot of Spanish, and what he used to tell us is, guys, I'm not cursing at you, I'm cursing at your mistake. Well, it just so happened that year on the JV team, I had me and this other kid, our fathers were ministers. Well, he gave his testimony the next day of practice, how he loves the Lord, he loves Jesus. He prays every night, he prays for the homeless people, and he also prays for wins. I'd also like to thank Coach DeFrancesco, because I had him in business class, and he really taught me a lot. I can thank Coach Hubbard. You can tell the influence Coach Hubbard had on me, because I ended up becoming, he's my coach now, but after I came back 2 years later, when I was at the University of Miami, and now he's my fraternity brother. I like to thank Miss Riff. I especially like to thank Miss Hackingills, because she had me work as a business agent. That was real loud for me. Miss Hackingills, I'm making a confession right now. The reason why I never used it, she once yelled at me because I didn't answer the phone. I stuttered. And when I picked up the phone one time, it was like, So every time the phone rang, I used to point at the other bitch saying, nah, shut up, I'm on the air. But, who else haven't I thought? I'd like to thank my mother and father. Mom, it's been great. Thank you, Mom and Dad, thank you very much for driving me here. Even though my mother is the worst backseat driver. But it's really a warm feeling to drive around Philadelphia. But I'm trying to think, who else didn't I think here tonight? But anyway, something I've always wondered about Roxborough High School, look back at myself, how they made the man and the athlete first. And when I was walking around the school today, I really appreciate the fact that you guys had an assembly to recognize me. That was fantastic. But something that really touched me was when I met one of the athletes. His name is, I think it's Victor Washington. And you guys, the style that you use to rear me, you're still using it because this kid is polished and he's class. And that's something I really want to be a part of. But I also like to thank Mr. Mama, who I heard he's my #1 fan. And I'll tell you a funny story about Mr. Mama. I never forget the first time when he became vice principal of Roxborough High School. This was after the beloved Anthony G. and Pico died. Mr. G ran that high school. I'm talking, you need to talk back to your teachers. It was one of the things, the high school was so good back then, it still is now, that teachers talked and we said, yes sir, no ma'am, did whatever they said. But first time I met Mr. Marmer, a week into the job, he had a bullhorn. And he was yelling at the students through the bullhorn. And we let him know that this is Roxborough High and this is not Simon Grass. We pay attention here. But just like to say thank you. I'm happy that you guys are recognizing me finally for being in the Hall of Fame. And it's really a pleasure.
It's in the rear, I think.
Our next inductee is James Casanas, and he'll be presented by his brother Tim. And I must tell you that Tim was a teammate of mine at Temple University when we played together. And as Damon was just referring, Roxborough brought all the class to wherever they went. But Tim brought class to Temple. We had class. We were kids from Fishtown and Kensington, but it was all low. But Tim, come on up and present your brother.
Well, I feel honored just by being here. There's a lot of good memories here, and Howard was someone who I looked up to at Temple, and I think the committee that put this together deserves my appreciation, certainly, and congratulations to all of the inductees. Rich Van Fossen happened to be my first baseball coach in the 21st Ward Baseball Babe Ruth League. And Jim Miller and I were contemporaries and spent many hours together on the soccer field. Having a brother named Jim, when your name is Tim, can create a great deal of confusion. It certainly did around our household. My parents were constantly calling us by each other's name. But I learned to use this confusion to great advantage. I've lived most of my life in Roxborough and Lafayette Hill, and so I've had many occasions to meet fellow graduates during the course of the day and the weeks. And now, since memories can be short, you don't always connect the names and the faces. So you go through the introductions and mention our names. And when I mention my name, the first question invariably would be, are you related to the doctor? Yes, I'd reply. Next question usually is, didn't you play soccer in high school? Yes, again. Didn't you play baseball in high school? Yes, I did. Weren't you the captain of those soccer championship teams in the mid-70s? Uh-oh. Yes, I was, again. And weren't you all public in baseball? Right on. And you were class president and in the Honor Society? That's me. Went on to college, Princeton, played soccer there. You got it. Now, what do you think I'm going to say when I'm asked, weren't you just inducted into the RHS Sports Hall of Fame? Point is that Jim has achieved extraordinary accomplishments to which I've only aspired and never attained. And so, Mr. Chairman, it's with great admiration that I present James Casanas for acceptance and induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame.
It's a great thrill to be among friends and family and teammates, and it's a particularly great honor to be inducted into the High School Hall of Fame. And I want to thank you for that. Tim mentioned the baseball playing days that I had, and I've been known to make some great diving stabs down at third base, but I want to introduce probably my greatest catch, and I did this without a baseball glove, and that's my wife, Susan. And my soccer playing days, my best contributions were as a midfielder, feeding a slew of great scorers. The Gamboros, George Eworth, and at Princeton I had some other brothers, the Bowen brothers, but probably my best assist, and I don't need a telestrator, is my daughter Nicole, who's Susan's holder. Just quickly, just to introduce my table, which is table 2. My father and mother are there. Tim's wife, Jane, was there, but now she's moved to another table. She's an accomplished and excellent golfer in her own right. And Tim and Jane's daughters, Pamela and Stephanie. And my uncle, Dr. Casanis, who needs no introduction, and Julian. Also, our table is Julian, who played on the high school team this year. I would like to tell you that the award tonight honors Jim Casanis, but it really commemorates many others who I'd like to mention to you. The Casanis part involves my father, who never really demanded much, but always expected much. And trying to meet those standards required commitment and hard work. And he also conveyed a love of sports, all sports, in all its different nuances. And he also gave his lasting and support. So for that, I owe a debt of gratitude to him. To my mother, she didn't really know too much about sports, and there were no winners or losers. Tim and I were always winners, and she gave us the affection and love and devotion that only a mother can give, and that's something that I have a great appreciation and gratitude. My uncle gave us the tools, gave me and countless others tools. I mean, fields and soccer balls and games and teams and trips to the away games, they don't magically appear. And it all appeared because of my uncle, Dr. Casanis. And that's how we would show up on a Saturday afternoon up at the YMCA, and we all took it for granted. We could all go out there and we could all play to our heart's content, and played we did, and succeeded we did at the high school, and then also in our club team, the Roxborough YMCA. And I and all of us owe that to Dr. Casanis, so I want to thank him. The gym part, I'd like to break out like this. The J is for Coach Jim Howard, who is not only a tremendous coach, leader, but probably one of the finest persons I've ever met. And what I remember about Coach Howard is he never tore us down. No matter if we were struggling or had bad games, it was always, we can play better, or we can do better, or we'll do better, we'll do different things. He never wanted the spotlight either, And he always had the coaches and that to try to put us and find the right pieces. He was the one who mentioned to me that probably my spot would I could best fill the spot of midfielder. I had been playing forward, and I balked at the beginning, but I think he was right. And I want to especially thank and tip my hat to Coach Howard. Along with Coach Howard, I also should mention both coaches Haverly and Hubbard. Mr. Haverly really helped me out in my sophomore year. I thought I would make a varsity baseball, but I was left back, I guess you could say, to JV. And Coach Haverly was the coach that year. And I specifically remember him saying and lifting up my spirits and giving me confidence that come play with us. We're going to have fun. We always did. And you're going to get a chance to play. And you're going to make it up to the varsity. So I want to thank him for that. It lifted my spirits and kept me going. So thank you, Mr. Haverly. And Coach Hubbard deserves a special mention. The one thing I always remember is how well coached we were, and he played no favorites. If you hit and you fielded well, you played. And the other thing was we practiced a great deal. I remember we used to get these exhibition games. I still think they were in February. I'm not sure, but I remember we were playing on this one field, and this was before El Nino's effect, so it was it seemed like it was always cold then. But I remember on this one field we were just standing out there. I was playing third base, and you were just freezing. I mean, the wind would be blowing, and then when you would hold the bat, you get the sting of the bat that you never wanted to hit a baseball again. But what Coach Hubbard gave to us is this confidence that we could win. I mean, we walked on the field with the likes of Central and all the Northeast teams, the Washingtons, and I always believed, and I share that I think with the other teammates, that not only that we could win, that we would win. I always regret that my senior year we had a great team and we just got stopped by a hot pitcher at Southern, but so we couldn't get him a championship. But I know he's won other championships, and he is really a superb coach. Thank you, Coach. Let me just mention some other important people. My neighborhood has put out a cluster of great athletes and people. The Browns, Paul, David, and Michael. There's Tim Brown, no relation. There's Jim Monahan, Don Winterbottom, who did go to Roxborough as well. Steve Miller, who was inducted in the Hall of Fame. And just to be able to compete in that neighborhood, and we played every day, and every season we would play. We were playing flag football. We were playing tackle football. Dana, you may like this. We played tackle football without the pads or helmets. Back in the old days. Softball, baseball, whatever, basketball. And a funny story in basketball, and this is how much we just had to play. The Browns had a nice basket in their driveway, and one day we were playing out there, and there was a piece of ice in the middle of the court, so to speak, in the middle of the driveway, and that wasn't going to stop us. So we launched this great idea that if we poured hot water on the ice, that would get rid of the ice. Well, as you can tell, none of us became physicists. I think we got more ice. But all we had to do then is you just had to drive. You couldn't drive down the center lane. You just had to kind of drive and go around or make some other passes. But I gotta thank them, and they made me who I am because we played sports every day, and they're the dearest friends. So thank you, all of you. finally, a couple of mentors in soccer, people like Rob Rudley and Dave Bowles and Scott Matlack were always ready to play, always ready to help. And particularly also Merle Lamont, who would take me down to Penn. We used to play on the AstroTurf then, before AstroTurf became a big thing. Dave Brown also always gave me a lot of push and confidence, and I want to especially thank them. That's what made this all possible, and this is a great honor, and I truly will cherish it dearly. Thank you.
Our next inductee, Jim Miller, also a contemporary of mine, will be presented by his coach, Jim Howard, Mr. Roxborough. Jim?
Spoken to Hank Marmer, and I mentioned about the Miller family. This Miller family had 5 brothers that attended Roxborough High School. All 5 were in the National Honor Society. All 5 played multiple teams at Roxborough High School, and all 5 were successes. Bruce lives down in San Francisco. He's the partner, and he's a CP. He's partner in one of the largest accounting firms. His chief client is the Oakland Raiders. Dennis lives in Memphis, and he's a partner in the accounting firm there. Bob Miller is Dr. Bob Miller, who was the first Miller that I coached. Bob Miller played center halfback. He was a co-captain with Mr. Casanis, Tim Casanis. He went to St. Joe, played there. Went to Jefferson, no, take that back. He went to University of Pennsylvania Dental School, and then back to Temple University to get a specialty in oral surgery, and now is not only the best looking oral surgeon, but the richest oral surgeon. And then there's Jim, who we'll talk about later, and finally Chris. Chris is the youngest. Chris was the captain of the team. He was goaltender, played soccer and goaltending up at Syracuse University. Graduated there and went on to graduate school, got his law degree. He's a doctorate now, and he's the partner in the largest law firm in the land of Georgia, majoring in labor law. Now, I reiterate these things to point out this, that Roxborough High School has and still provides one of the best educations you can get if you want to work at it. And also to reiterate that this family is the personification of what the families are in Roxborough to make it such a great community. Let's give the Millers and everybody enough said about that. Now let's move on to Jim Miller. Jim Miller is a two-sport athlete. He got 2 letters in baseball. He got 3 letters in swimming. I was his coach in swimming. He took 3rd place in public league swimming championships in the breaststroke. He swam the medley relay that held the school record. And the thing that I always remembered about Jim was that this man was a worker. He never quit, worked hard. But his big sport was goalkeeping, soccer. And he started as a center halfback with me, and then in his junior year he was going to be my center halfback, which is the major position that sort of controls the flow of the game. I would like to take credit and say, yeah, I made one of the best goaltenders that ever came out of the city, but I'm going to be honest about it, I didn't. I really had very little to do with that. The credit goes to Jerry Casanis, who was a teammate at Temple University. He was a goaltender there, and I met him when I was a freshman there at Temple. And his junior year, Jim's junior year, Doc comes up to me and said, you know what, Jim, I've been working with Jimmy Miller over the summer. And of goalkeeping. And you would take a look at him. And I said, wait, this guy's too good a soccer player to play in the goal. I went in to control the team. Well, after he got our butt kicked the first couple of games, he said, give Miller a chance. And I said, what do you got to lose? We're behind by about 4. I put him in there. And oh, my word. This is something. And he continued that junior year. I mean, Old Public was the best goaltender in the league. But his senior year, the man was unbelievable. He made All-Scholastic. He was on the All-Scholastic team that met the New York All-Stars. He was recruited by almost every college coach in the area, and he chose Penn. Went to Penn, and you couldn't play varsity ball as a freshman, but he started as a sophomore at Penn, and the 3 years that he was at Penn, they were an outstanding team. In fact, in their senior year, they were ranked first and second all through the year. The team that was ranked maybe before them was a little college called Howard College, who almost like never had any kind of soccer team, but suddenly this Howard team is killing everybody. And sometimes in the playoffs for the national championship, the best 2 teams don't meet the finals. It's just how you're seeded. So in the quarterfinals, Howard and Penn met. Tremendous game, which was played before the largest collegiate soccer crowd in the history of the NCAA, and that record still holds. 17,000 people went to see that game. Howard won 2-1. And then Howard moved on to the finals, and they gave the team they played in the finals a soccer lesson. They just destroyed that team. Unfortunately, a couple months later, under investigation, it turned out that Howard University had 8 professional soccer players who played in South America and played in the Caribbean and played in Europe. So they were stripped from their title. But unfortunately for Penn didn't win it. It was the team that Howard played in the finals that was awarded the championship. Jim Miller still holds records at Penn after all these years for best goal against average of 1.04 goals. And also, Jim Miller holds the record for 10 shutouts in a 16-game season. He was drafted by the Philadelphia Atoms in the North American Soccer League, and they won the championship of the professional championship of soccer. And he's the only goaltender from the city that ever played for both professional teams. He also played for the Philadelphia Fury. Let's say this about Jim Miller. Jim Miller is the kind of guy that would give back. He has a very successful company, H&B Sportswear, and makes soccer equipment for Adidas and for Reebok and Nike. But when I was there at Roxborough, still teaching, Jim was the partner of the Canon soccer equipment, and he'd take care of us so often. Balls and soccer nets, and one day someone, as a president, his wife had died, and she used to come watch the soccer games, and in her name gave us $1,000 to buy new uniforms. So we got the very best. And I called Jim, and Jim said, I'll take care of you, and prices went at it. And we got the nicest uniforms. The next day, Jim called back. He said, Coach, he said, you guys have an away uniform? I said, what do you think we are, a football team? So he said that, listen, I'd like to do something. I would like to present the school with a new set of traveling uniforms. And they're worth over $1,000. He said, just to show my appreciation for all you have done for me. So that's the kind of guy he was. And at this time, Mr. Chairman, it is with great sincerity and admiration that I present Jim Miller for acceptance and induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Hi there. Once before I had the opportunity to come to the podium after Jim Howard spoke. There are 2 problems with that. One is you're following Jim Howard, And 2 is your time is already gone. Actually, there's a third, in that I don't really like to speak publicly. And this is illustrated by the fact that my teenage daughters this morning at breakfast said, "Dad, you tend to sweat when you talk in front of people. Why don't you bring a towel?" I couldn't bring a towel, but I did write my speech on a big napkin. And I might use this, if necessary. And bear with me. I want to thank the committee and all the people involved for this great honor. It really means a lot to me, and I'm very deeply appreciative. As Mr. Howard pointed out, my family had a long history at Roxborough. I'm the 4th of 5 boys. There was a Miller at Roxborough for 22 consecutive years, and we're from 1, 2, 3 of us at any one time. And it was a special place to go to high school. It really was. All you people who have been there can appreciate it. If you haven't been there, it was very, very special. The option of screwing up, and pardon my language, if you were there, was not an option. The teachers knew your parents. They knew where you lived, and they weren't afraid to call them and tell them if you had a problem. Believe me, I'm aware of that. And my one brother Robert, who's here, will attest to that. I will digress for 1 second and say, and I will put a lot of the credit to the coaches and teachers at Roxborough. All 5 of my brothers, or excuse me, 4 of my brothers, all made all public at least one sport. And I think that's quite an achievement. And I think it is a tribute to the coaches and the staff and the administration in Roxborough. I'd like to give them all a hand. Outside of my parents and my family, I would say that the biggest influence on my life were the teachers at Roxborough and the coaches at Roxborough and the administration. They taught me how to live my life, how to conduct myself, and taught a work ethic. And that is a gift that truly gives on giving forever. And I was fortunate enough with the other inductees today to attend a ceremony at the school. And I had not been back to the school for 30 years. I'm somewhat ashamed to admit that, but I admit it freely. But sitting on the stage, watching the young kids, athletes, in the stands, and watching the program that the President administration put on, it was affirmed to me that the gift that I was given 30 years ago is still there and still being given. And it was quite reassuring and quite uplifting to see that the teachers and the administration and the coaches still know how to do what they did then and do now. And it gave me quite an uplift. And that's really all I got to say, because Jim Howell took all my time. On a special note, I do want to thank Dr. Jerry Casanas for all his efforts, me personally and for the community, because he certainly gave me a gift of playing the game of soccer. And he deserves every accolade that he can get. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee, Rich Van Fossen, will be presented by Mr. Joe Arcoloni.
Good evening, everyone. You know, I didn't know too much about Van Fossen until I read this book. Yeah, I've known the man for 37 years. He's been a very good friend of mine, heck of a ball player, but I had to read the book. And it amazes me. But the greatest part of all is this. I am glad he made me a part of his family. And I hope that goes with all of us too. I'm not going to speak too long because I'm not learned as these young men here. I'm too old for that. But I will say this once again. He's one of the greatest guys I ever had. And I've had men play ball for me like your coach, Cliff Hubbard, played for me. Sonny Hill, Pat Kelly, Herb Adderley, and he ranks amongst the best. So I'm not going to say too much more, except thank you for everything, and gentlemen, congratulations again. I think that should do it, shouldn't it? Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Joe Arcolani has coached baseball for over 50 years. Him and his wife, Lynn, never had any sons of their own, but they had thousands of adopted ones. Thank you, Joe. I feel very fortunate to have lived in Roxborough. I grew up as a youngster watching people like Duke Purnell play, Ronnie Maiden, John Maiden, a lot of good athletes, and people that I wanted to be like. Actually, when I went out for football, I wanted to be a running back. And when I got the call about the Hall of Fame, this was funny. Joe D'Angelo did not know how to get in touch with me because I live in Myrtle Beach now. Now, all the Van Fosters live in Roxborough, but Joe can't find any of them. So anyway, he gets in touch with my niece down at the Roxborough Bank, and she gives him a phone number. So I'm on Interstate 40, and I think I'm going through Alabama. My car phone rings. It's Ron Halley. So that's how I found out about it, and it was nice. As I said, I'm very fortunate to have lived in Roxborough, growing up with good athletes. This area has a multitude of excellent athletes. I played with most of them. In the book, I wanted to give thanks to my coaches, and I would like to say something about each and every one of them. To my coaches who made me the best that I could be. First of all, Mr. Boyce. There's a baseball field named after him. Played for him when I was 8 years old. You hit a single, you ran to second. Of course, nobody was ever safe. My Babe Ruth coaches, I played in the first Babe Ruth League in 1958. Charles Foster and Dan Kirshner. I think Dan Kirshner was a pitcher in the majors, had 300-some wins. Excellent coaches. Jack Spittle. Jack was my freshman football coach. Went out for football, as I said, as a running back. So we used to play football at lunchtime, and I used to go out, catch the ball once in a while. So after 2 weeks, Jack comes to practice. He says, "Van Fossen, you're an end." I said, "No, I'm not." I said, "I'm a fullback." I figured every guy just scored all the points. But that's how I got to become an end with Jack Spittle. And I called his wife, and I wanted to let her know, to find out that he had passed away 2 years ago. But I just wanted him to know, what he had done for me. Joe Toner was my baseball coach at Roxborough High School. Very quiet, didn't say too many words, but he knew how to coach baseball. Excellent coach. My football coaches, Fred Hauser and Ernie Mowbray. They had a special connection. Coach Hauser, when he got excited, his veins popped out of his neck. And you did something wrong. And then after he would walk away from you, Ernie would come over and he'd pick you up. He'd dust you off a little bit. He said, "Don't worry about that, man. We'll get it." They had something special. Anybody who had ever played for those two coaches And Coach Hauser and I had talked about this because they knew what they had, and they were excellent. And of course, my friend, my coach, Joe Kalani. I played 2 years American Legion baseball for Joe. And Joe would get in your face the first inning, and he'd be hugging you by the seventh. He just had that talent. You know, you never walked off the field thinking that you had a lousy day. You might have struck out 4 times, but you still didn't have a lousy day. One story, and it's a small world because I live in Myrtle Beach now. And this summer I was sitting in the beachfront bar having a soda. And you know how you sit there and you're talking and you know, where are you from? I'm from Philadelphia. And where are you from? I'm from Philadelphia. Well, where'd you go to school? Well, I went to Roxborough. Oh, you went to Southern? Oh, really? And the guy said he played at Southern in 1961, and he was talking about the game that we beat them in 61, 1916. Because then we beat all the good teams and we lost to the lousy teams. And he said, he kept saying about the game that we beat Southern. And I said to him, I said, would you like to see the game again? He looked at me. I said, I have it on video. And I told Coach, I gave Coach a copy of the video. I stole the film back in 1961. And if the school wants it, I still have the 60 millimeter film. I'll be glad to give it back to you. It has no use to me because I have it on video now. But, you know you're getting old when you're the oldest one going into the Hall of Fame. When I looked at it, I said, 1962, that was 39 years ago. But no, Roxborough was a great school. I went into school today. I have a classmate of mine who's a counselor, Valerie Williams. And Mr. Joseph is still there, my French teacher. And I found out this week that I have something in common with Einstein. I told Mr. Joseph. He looks at me. I said, yeah. I said, we both got D's in French. True.
He went to Princeton.
That's my son. He's left. I would like to thank the committee. They do such a great job. It does take a lot of work. My family, my children are here, Sharon, Richard, my sister Margie, especially my 2 brothers. Rabbit and Walter came to every game. Every game. I know they skipped work a lot of times to come to the games. Teresa, my niece Michelle, David, her husband, and my great niece, Gabrielle, Moose and Duke, of course. And in ending, I would like to say that Moose DeMalto wanted me to make an announcement. If Duke Purnell has gotten around to speak to each table, he will before the night's out.
Our final inductees of the evening will be presented by Pat Pavalka and Carol Reagan, and that is the 1976 championship volleyball team.
Good evening, everyone. I was quite surprised when I received a phone call back in January from my co-captain, Pat, notifying me of our team being elected into Roxborough Sports Hall of Fame. Surprised for several reasons. One being that I had not talked to Pat in over 20 years. The second reason being that while I had not thought much about high school in as many years, I was amazed at how quickly the years melted away when Pat and I started to reminisce. I think I feel even more so about that this evening. Since that night in January, Pat and I have had the opportunity to talk several times and reflect on what playing competitive volleyball in high school has meant to us in general. But more importantly, what playing volleyball for Mrs. Hammis has meant for each of us personally. And we hope we speak for all the women who played on the 1976 championship team, as well as all the 4 other championship teams who deserve this honor as much as we do. Competitive sports in high school provided us with a framework for developing characteristics such as commitment to hard work, a disciplined approach to living, leadership and team playing skills, being gracious whether we win or lose, and lastly, how to stay the course. These qualities, which we all developed under Mrs. Hammis's leadership, have served us well in all of our life endeavors, our marriages, our families and friends, our relationship with God, and in our careers. In retrospect, while we thought we were only playing volleyball, we were really developing a foundation upon which to build a successful life. Before we present the award, on behalf of all of Mrs. Hammis's volleyball ladies, we want to thank you, Mrs. Hammis, for starting us on the right path by dedicating a poem to you. What is a volleyball coach? A volleyball coach is a special breed with an amazing ability to fill every need. She gives us her time for a practice each day and stays right with us till we learn every play. With a setup, a serve, a smash, and a dink, your arms start to hurt and you really can't think. Now, an overhead volley and a one-hand dig, the bruises on your arm are starting to get big. But the coach is untiring. She must take pep pills. When you're ready to collapse, she's ready for drills. There's arch-ups and sit-ups and slide steps too. A few laps around the gym and you feel brand new. Some wall jumps and chair steps. Yes, chair steps, I say. By the time you're done them, you're ready for bed. But the coach will tell us these things must be done. We're all here to work and not to have fun. And when game day comes and things start to gel, we look at her face to see if we're doing well. If there's a hopeful look and a hint of a smile, we know we're beating the other team by a mile. But if her eyes seem to be glaring and her lips are pressed tight, we call a time out so we can set things right. We don't need a scoreboard or the roar of a crowd. Her face says it all, clear and loud. And just like a mother, she fusses and fights. You need more sleep. Don't you go out tonight. But would we change it if we had the power? No, not a single day, not even an hour. We're lucky, we're happy, and so proud we could beam just to be part of Mrs. Hammis's championship team.
The 1976 girls volleyball champions for acceptance and induction. I do know how to talk. Induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. And to do this is Mrs. Hammis.
I can't speak without writing my message on paper. I will say good evening to all. We here are family. Gathered here this evening are mothers, fathers, grandmothers, me, grandfathers, grandchildren, husbands, sisters, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, friends, and some members of the 80-81 volleyball championship team. Hey girls. In 1975, the Roxborough High School varsity volleyball team won their first public league and divisional championships. There were 8 girls on the team. 5 of these girls went on to win the 76 championship. There were 16 girls on the 76 championship team. And can you believe that this was 23 years ago? All of my ladies are all grown. They are so beautiful. They make me so happy and so proud of them. The team that I'm going to talk about now, or my ladies, showed intense desire, determination, and dedication to learn to play good power volleyball. They played with more advanced techniques, precision, strategy, skill, and power. This made the girls an all-around player and champions. We were a team, and let me repeat again, we were a team that supported each other in every respect. We didn't just have one star player, we had a team of star players. This evening, the team has asked me to recognize and honor 3 of the former championship teammates. And I would like to do this. And I would like to have Mercedes, Natalie, and Eleanor come up to the front, please. Mercedes Murphy, if you'll step forward, please. Mercedes is an outstanding athlete. She played 4 years on the basketball team, captain in her senior year. 4 years on the tennis team, captain in her senior year. 4 years on the volleyball team, captain in her senior year. She is employed at MCP in the radiology department. Now, Mercedes is a jogging coach, and she is the coach of Mr. Andy Miller. Andy, will you stand, please? Andy, still stay standing. Andy, let me tell you this. On his 90th birthday, jogged 1 mile. On his 91st birthday, he jogged 1 mile. On his 92nd birthday this year, he's going to jog another mile. Next is Natalie Barbaro-Feely. Natalie was co-captain of the 75 volleyball team. She was a member of the gymnastics championship team and was awarded the Medallion Award, the Athletic Leadership Award. Natalie attended East Stroudsburg University. She is now a cosmetologist, is married, and has 2 boys. Eleanor Ayers is a member of the 75 championship volleyball team and the gymnastics team. She is a Girl Scout leader, Tiger, and club leader. She is a coach of cheerleading and gymnastics. She is the PTA treasurer and has received the New York State PTA Honorary Life Award. She's a trustee of Salem United Methodist Church and has done a lot of church work. In the process of writing her first book for children, she is married and has 4 children. These are my beauties from the 75 team. Although we live in the city of brotherly love, we had sisterly love on our team. We had 2 sets of sisters, Jeannie and Kathy Hickey, Rosemary and Patty Swartz. Now, speaking of sisterly love, at this time I would like to introduce and acknowledge Sister Marie Jean from the IHM Order. Sister, will you please stand? I would also like to acknowledge our team sisters at table 8. Ladies, how about standing? Each and every time time the team won a divisional or public league championship, there was a dinner. There was a dinner with jackets, sweaters, sweatsuits, and many more gifts. The mothers present this evening are Mrs. DiCarlo, Mrs. Harrison, Mrs. Slater, and Mrs. Soms. I would like to thank you, mothers, for all of your hard work and planning. But I have a little story to tell you about Mrs. Soms and Mrs. Slater. It didn't matter whether it was rain, sleet, snow, hail, or whatever. Mrs. Slater and Mrs. Soms went from Roxborough, Manayunk, East Falls, and Wissahickon to collect papers. They dragged those papers up to the driveway at Roxborough High School, and then the next week the man would come and buy them, and that's how we attained our money for our first dinner. After graduation, the girls took their skills to a higher level of marriage, children, and family. All of the team members could not be here this evening due to previous engagements and being scattered around the country. I want you to know, received lovely letters from the girls. Thank the good Lord that I can say that all 16 girls on this team are alive and well. Now, I told Ron Holly that this is the night for the girls' volleyball team, and I'm going to be long. I would like to introduce the girls with then in high school, because I think you should know what they did in high school and now what they are doing with their lives. So my girls' 76 championship team, come up front, please. All right, as I call your name, will you please step forward so the people know who you are? Pat DiCarlo Polvelka. She is one of our co-captains. Pat, where are you? In high school, Pat participated in the following activities. Honor Society, she had brains and brawn. Girls Athletic Association, Student Association, Cabinet, House, Senate, Big Sister, Future Teachers of America, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, tennis team, and team captain. Pat attended East Drag University. She is married to Paul, who is here this evening, and has 2 boys. Pat is now a Philadelphia police officer, so watch yourself. Regan. In high school, Carol was a member of the National Honor Society, GAA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Cabinet, House, Senate, and manager of the boys swim team. Carol attended Penn State University and also received her MBA from LaSalle University. Carol is married to Bill and has a new baby daughter, Allison. Carol is now a business analyst for the Vanguard Group in Malvern. Okay, Margie Beanie Lutz. Margaret? Come on out so they can see you. In high school, Margie was a member of the Honor Society, basketball team, GAA member, softball team, yearbook staff, and prom committee, and was our homecoming queen. Margie attended LaSalle University, where she was the varsity setter for 4 years on the team. Margie is married to Bill and has 2 children. She is now a special education teacher in the Plymouth school system. Jeannie Hickey McGuinn. This was the first time in the history of the school. Jeannie was a walk-on for the varsity volleyball team in her senior year. She was a member of GAA, yearbook staff, prom committee, and softball team. Jeannie is married to Dennis, has 2 children. Jeannie and Dennis are real estate agents. And may I say this, Dennis, you better have my mail there on time tomorrow, because Dennis is my mailman. Denise Winterbottom argued. We would call Denise Mrs. Power Volleyball. In high school, Denise was a member of the GAA, captain and leader of the pep squad, and was on the volleyball team and the prom committee. Dennis is married to Chad and has 3 boys. She was a secretary and now is a stay-at-home mom. You can Kathy Piper Stimler, our Mighty Mite. In high school, Kathy was a member of the concert choir, the gym team, the softball team, yearbook, staff, prom committee. Kathy is married to her high school sweetheart, David, and has 2 girls. Kathy is a registered dental hygienist. Last but not least, Kathy Hickey Wargo. Come on out there, Kathy. 3 is a charm. She was the manager of the gymnastics team, the softball team, and volleyball team. In my 20 years of coaching, Kathy was the very best manager and was very important to me. Kathy is married to Michael and has 2 boys. Kathy and Michael own and manage the commercial carpet company. The team and I shared many joys, and they brought happiness into my life and made it richer and better. And now, as I close, I would like to leave this message. Every girl that I have coached on the volleyball team, to me, is a champion. I wish to thank all of you for being here this evening, especially my daughter Cindy, my sweethearts who are my grandchildren John and Elizabeth, my good friend Donald, and my sister-in-law Claire and friend Ann, and friend Jim. Now I leave this message to each and every one of you. My peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you. Thank you and good night.
I think we can be quite proud of this 1999 class that's being inducted into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. Let's give them a hand. Not only are they great athletes, but they were great students as well. Many of whom were in the National Honor Society. And I must say, I went to Mass Bomb along with Norm Haverly. Norm went a couple years before I did. Norm, did we have a National Honor Society there?
I was president of the National
Glee Club. In any event, I'd like to call Cliff Hubbard back up to the podium for closing remarks. Cliff?
Okay, first of all, I'd like to have all of our inductees please stand so we can give you one more big round of applause. All please stand. Just a few things that I'd like to highlight. First of all, I'd like to say to Rich Van Boston, I was wondering where that film was. But you know, if you wanted any others, we still have all the films from your years in the cabinet, locked safely away. So anytime you want to come up and borrow them, videotape them, come on over again.
Did they have film back then?
16 millimeters. Just a reminder, I didn't mention this before, but if any of you would like to have extra programs, there's a box with extra programs over by table number 1, so feel free to pick up any you'd like to take to show to some friends or family members on your way out. Well, you guys can sit. We're old. It was really great for me tonight to be able to proudly say, that's my coach. I was really happy to see Joe Galani here. I haven't seen him in many years, but I got to know Roxborough before I came here through Joe, because I played on the American Legion team with all the guys from Roxborough when I was growing up. So I want to thank Joe for coming tonight and for being a great coach and for getting me started where I am now. If you look in your program book, this is a little bit of a plug, but it's not really a plug. If you turn 2 pages through, you'll see an ad from the Wissahickon Barbershop. Well, they called tonight, and you want to be sure to get us to call us to your attention, because this is a special occasion. And if you notice at the top, it says this is the first annual Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame Bonanza. And if you look down through that ad, I think you'll see quite a few bargains. So they ask you to please tell you to be sure to come down and take part in it and be a part of the first Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame Bonanza. Terry said if he's on vacation, and you go down and ask for a rain check. One thing I'd like to do, I want you to really get a chance to see these people. If all the committee members would please stand so that the audience could recognize you. All the Hall of Fame committee members, please stand. Our work never stops. If you notice, if you looked at the date card, the new membership year is April 1st, and when we have our first meeting in April, we'll begin preparing for next year. We'll start doing the things that are needed. This is not a process that all of a sudden one week we come up and say, okay, we got our inductees. It starts with our next meeting, and we have an organized manner that we go through in order to arrive at next year's inductees. So we'll begin that process in April. And again, I'd like to remind any of you who don't belong to the Hall of Fame Club, we certainly would like to have you join, and that application is in the back of the program. And you don't have to be a graduate of Roxborough, you can be a friend of Roxborough. One of our greatest friends was introduced tonight, and that's Al Angelo. Al is the coach at Frankfurt, but he's a member of the Sports Hall of Fame Club. So we invite any of you who are interested to please join us. One of the things that I always do, because whenever we come to the Angelos, we always have a great time. Tonight's no exception. I don't know where Bart is. Joe, where's Bart? Hey Bart, wherever you are, if you can hear me. Oh, okay. At any rate, Joe's out enjoying himself. So Bart is always our gracious host, and I always like to have him come out and take a bow because he always puts on a great feast for us, a great night. I'd like to thank all of you again for coming tonight and honoring all of these great people you see sitting on my right and left. And if you get a chance to come into the school, those of you who haven't been in, if you come up to the second floor, outside room 204, which is our roster office, across the hall from our counselor's office is our wall of fame. And all of the past inductees are on that wall. And as soon as the plaques get back to the school, our inductees of tonight, their plaque will also be mounted on the wall. So feel free to come in anytime you want and come up and take a look at it. So thanks for coming tonight. And I'd like to, for our really final closing, I'd like to call John Barkley up. And John is going to lead us in the school song. Those of you who don't know it, turn the back cover and hear all the words on the back cover. That's all stand. We have a little choir up here,
Roxborough, we love thee, we will stand by thee through all. Oh, Roxborough, long Union School, we will never let thee fall. Our Roxborough High School, way up on the hill, all will hear her glory echoed with a thrill. Shall we work with spirit for our high school? Roxborough we will. Roxborough will sing thee as future years pass by, still holding as you're doing now a place of honor high. Our Roxborough High School, way up on the hill, all will hear her glory echoed with a thrill. Shall we work with spirit for our high school? Roxborough we will.
Okay, I'd like to, at this time, I'll call Fred Hauser up to do the benediction. While Fred's making his way up, if you haven't had a chance to, over on the table here to my right are some of the memorabilia from the years of the people who are up here. If you didn't get a chance to stop over and take a look, stop over on your way. All right, for the benediction, our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the inspiration of this night. We ask your benediction now as for a safe journey home, a good night's rest, and an opportunity to serve you and everyone we come in contact with tomorrow. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. May everyone have a safe trip home. Thanks again for coming.